Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of the Tradie Business School podcast, the only podcast you'll ever need to listen to for entertainment and obviously to grow and scale your trade-based business. For those of you who are new to the show, my name is Adam. I'm the host, and I'm joined with the beautiful Bryan Santos, who's today's co-host. He brings the good looks and the brains, and I just bring the beard and the humour. Bryan, welcome to today's show. A little bit of an off-the-cuff intro there. I hope you're well. How's things?
Good. I'm good. It's good to be here.
Excellent, mate. We were talking offline about money in, money out. Where's my money? It's a common problem that we hear. Obviously, one that you've heard of lately as well, because we try and keep the topics current. But it's something that happens in business all the time. Like business owners, they do their invoicing and the money comes in, they pay the bills and the money goes out. They know their numbers should be profitable, but at the end of the day, they don't know where their money is. So, mate, I'm going to hand straight over to you and ask you, did I hit the nail on the head there, or is there more to that conversation?
100%. And mind you, this isn't a problem for, small businesses or really small businesses or even medium-sized businesses. This is a common problem across the board with a whole range of businesses that we have worked with over the years and still work with to help them resolve their issues. One of the number one problems business owners face, even if you are doing well, is cash flow or your ability to maintain a level of cash to run not only your business successfully, but, pay yourself as well on time and pay yourself, what you deserve. So,
I mean, it's a problem that people see in their personal lives as well. People, and I think that's where it's probably manifests from, right? Because the high majority, probably 99% of people, they come into business having gone through the programming phases of having a job and scraping by and that sort of thing. So, I think I want to start by saying to people, where you are is not necessarily your fault. However, it is your responsibility, right? So going through the programming of kind of just scraping by, watching, probably watched your parents scrape by, not have 2 cents to rub together half the time, as the saying goes, that is probably half the reason you are where you are, and that I guess these problems are manifesting in your life now in the same way. But the question is, how do we reprogram, and what are the things that we need to change? I mean, what's the problems this causes? I mean, for me, in those times where money hasn't been abundant, it's like, the stress, the anxiety, all of those things, those problems that it causes. And we normalize it. I think that's part of the problem for people, is they normalize these situations. But when it comes to business, I mean, what are the biggest issues you see there, Bryan?
Yeah, well, specifically in regards to, I guess, this topic today about money, I guess the problem that we often see is that business owners work hard. They're thinking that, okay, if I quote this properly, then I should be right. If I get enough business coming through, I should be right. If I can get the right team members and staff or subcontractors, whatever it is, to help me, I'll be right. And even as you start to get those things right, you still don't have enough cash, or even if you have enough cash to pay things off in time, often what I hear is, I thought I should have had more. I swear I should have had more in my account, but where is it, right? It's gone to all of a sudden this massive tax bill or these other bills, and, you're paying this contractor, this employee, this and that, and then, you're left with not that much in comparison to the effort and stress that you've put towards.
And that's the big thing, right? Like business owners all the time. Like, I mean, I have this conversation on a regular basis. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, if you're not making decent money and being profitable and living a somewhat comfortable life, like go and get a job. Like, contribute to somebody else's business at a high level, right? And there's always other reasons. People are like, I want to make a difference. I want to make an impact. I want my life to be better. I want my family's life to be better, all those sorts of things. But at the end of the day, we're not making any, and I saw a funny post the other day in our group, being self-employed is the permission to pay yourself less than you would ever have earned if you'd work for somebody else, and that's often what we see. And this is how this problem manifests, right? It's like, I'm doing more hours than I've ever done before, earning more money than I've ever earned before, but I've still got no money.
Yeah, exactly. And as business owners, you often go into business, because you have some sort of skill set in what you're doing. So if you're an electrician, obviously you have a skill set enough to actually go out and start it yourself or buy a business or however you get into your business. And so we have a genuine skill set, but we also have the work ethic. All right. For me to actually earn income, I have to work hard, and we have that mentality. If we work hard and we do the right thing, then the money will follow. Right. Now that's obviously the right mentality, because if you do the opposite and don't do the right thing, you don't work hard, there's less chance of you actually bringing in the income.
I think part of the problem there is, like, I just picked something up. It just made me think about it, right? Is that the money will follow rather than the profit will follow, right? So this is the thing, the money does follow.
Yes.
But the profit's not there. And that's the big problem, right?
Absolutely. So that's the big one, right? So the money will follow, but not necessarily the profit. The profit also comes from, I guess, two things. Obviously, how you, charge right from the very beginning, so you make a profit, but also how you manage that, right? And so if the problem really comes down to that, we often as business owners focus so much on the bringing in of the money, but less of the managing of or understanding of what's actually happening with our money. So we don't know what's actually happening under the bonnet of our business, so to speak. We are essentially driving blind to a degree, right? And I know a lot of us who are running our business, we're not necessarily money people. We're not accountants. We're not bookkeepers. We're not, detailed people when it comes to money or money management. But that's I think where we need to step up, is when we don't abdicate the responsibility of our money to someone else, or abdicate even the mindset of money management to, she'll be right because I'll bring in the money. That's all, that what we are doing, we don't have a visual of what's actually happening to our business or within our business. And when we don't have a visual, it's hard for us, or hard for anyone, to be able to know what's going on and to manage your business properly. And so without knowing what's happening properly with your money, how can you know what you're going to be left with and, where to fix it? So,
really, and I think that was one of the things for me on my journey, was understanding and accepting that when you can no longer just be a tradesman or tradesperson, pardon my incorrectness. But this is the thing, like when you start a business, the mindset has to change. Otherwise, you're going to be pushing shit uphill for a long time until your mindset changes. And that's why we do this podcast, right? Is we want people's mindset and thought process to change sooner rather than later, right? So for me, it was like when I truly stepped into, I'm a business owner, CEO, and I start thinking about how would a business owner and a CEO think about things? That's when things really start to shift, right? Because CEOs, they want to look at data. They make all their decisions off of data. It's emotionless, right? And this is the problem business owners have when they first come into business, is they're emotionally attached to the outcomes of the business, right? They're emotionally attached. And look, I'm still emotionally attached, don't get me wrong, but that level of attachment has decreased over time through practice and through understanding that I need to make decisions that are based on the greater good. Whether that's initially for me personally, because I've still got to head the business, I've still got to, manage things, but then also individually throughout the business, is there a toxic employee I need to get rid of because it brings the whole team down? You've got to do that. So from money point of view, I think for me, when I started really systemizing the money and building spreadsheets to understand what the costs are of a business, and there were so many what I would say hidden costs. They're not hidden, but they're ones that you don't think about. Like when I talk to business owners and I'm like, do you know what your current liability is for long service leave? And they're like, I don't have any liability because nobody's worked. The business is 3 years old. I was like, you do, because as soon as that 7-year mark trips over and you've got people that have been with you since day one, you have a liability, and that liability is incrementally increasing. And this is what trips companies up later down the track. I know in my first iteration, it was something that tripped me up. It wasn't something it was always a future Adams problem, you know? But if you can build this stuff in from day one, if you can build these spreadsheets and tracking your numbers, and here's the thing, and if, I want to obviously encourage people to build systems and processes, they've got to evolve as well. So I had a spreadsheet that was very simple to start with. What was the income that I wanted to make? What did I need to invoice to do that? What was the GST component? And what was the tax component? It was quite simple. I wasn't thinking about superannuation. I wasn't thinking about long service leave. I wasn't thinking about sick leave. People accrue sick leave. It's a liability that you have to build into your spreadsheet and into your numbers. I mean, what are some of the other things that you see that people often forget that trips them up?
Yeah, all of those things. We've just closed an acquisition actually, and one of the things that we obviously have to look at are all those things that you don't necessarily consider, like sick leave, like long service leave, and all those sorts of things, right?
Work covers a percentage, right? And this is the thing, insurances, the cost of insurance of equipment and insuring your people and things like that. You've got to factor things in that you've never thought about before.
Yeah. And also not only what are current expenses that you haven't thought about, but also future ones. So for example, when you are growing your business, or if you're saying, okay, I need, for me to grow, I need a new staff member, you're not factoring the new staff members or even an increase in salary or wages or the cost of subcontractors as this new financial year starts. Costs will go up. Your subcontractor costs will go up. Your materials will go up, and not factoring those things. If you're still quoting, for example, based on, 3, 6, 12 months ago's costs, right? And you have that in your template or in your head, okay, I'll cost this and this, and you haven't adjusted that on a more recently, then, those are the hidden expenses, could be eating into that question, where the heck's my money, right? I thought, right? While all these incremental expenses are happening.
What are some other ones? I mean, for me, the number one thing that I did actually factor in that I see so many other businesses not factor in is replacement costs of equipment, right? Mm-hmm. For me, being a surveyor, we're in quite a high-tech world where, 5 years down track, they stop supporting the instrument. They stop offering like trade-ins, not trade-ins, but replacement parts and components. So it gets to a point where something becomes obsolete and you literally can't use it anymore because you need one part and they don't have it anymore, right? So for me, I factored in the cost of my equipment, loan repayments forever, because when it got to a point where I'd written the thing off and I'd used it, I wanted to be able to upgrade it. And this is one thing I think that people come to me and they're like, how can the bloke down the road be charging 30% less than me? Like, I've done my numbers. I've factored all these things in. And it's like, because he's not factoring those things in. That's why, because he or she is running in a false economy that leads to them going broke. So this is why you don't have the money, or they don't, like if you're not factoring these things in. But this is also why when you're looking at your numbers and going, someone's 30% dearer than me, I don't understand that. These are the things, the hidden costs that are not hidden. You've just got to dig for them. Like, look at every single step and thing in your business, right down to the subscription you're paying for your accounting software, QuickBooks, Smile, Xero. What's that? $70, $100 a month. As soon as you add payroll onto it, like, it's an additional cost, those sorts of things. So I know for me, equipment costs was something that I always wanted to factor in, because I also prided myself on the fact that we had the latest and the greatest gear. And it was something that I used as a selling point. I mean, what are some of the other hidden costs that you see? Do you see any other hidden costs, Bryan?
Yeah, I think for me, some of the hidden costs come, well, it's even before going into the details of the hidden costs, because I think the mistake that I often see is that people don't actually look at their numbers on a regular enough basis or know what to look for in their numbers or have a system or a way into my business of how am I actually doing. So that's I guess my main point for today is that, you need to get a visual on where you're at and on a regular basis. And obviously we can help with that, if anyone wanted to have a chat with us. And I just want to say this: nobody will care enough about your business. No one will care enough about your money. No one will care enough about how much money you have to pay your bills or how much you're left with. Not your accountant, not your bookkeeper, not your bank manager, not even your other business partner, if you have a business partner. No one will care about your money situation more than you. So if you're not putting effort into understanding and reviewing, okay, where am I at? Numbers wise, what am I doing? How's my business going? Because you're too busy or you don't like numbers, then no one else will. And that is the key to, or the reason I think why you may not have enough money left over, is because you perhaps don't put enough, I guess, time or effort or the know-how to be able to do that. So,
wow, I wish I had some sound effects because I would have just dropped the bomb on that one. And I think that's a great place to wrap it up. Nobody's going to care more about your business, your numbers than you, except for maybe you and I, Bryan, because we care, right? So if you need some help with your numbers, if you're not sure about where your money's going, if this has resonated with you, please reach out to us at hello@tradiebusinessschool.com. Send us an email. Just put it in the subject line, "Where's my cash?" and either myself or Bryan will get straight back to you and see if we can help you with that. But Bryan, that's I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate you and your thoughts on finding where your cash is. For those people who have lost the cash, please reach out. And if you know of somebody that doesn't know where their cash is, then please share this podcast with them. Do all the cool things, like, share, subscribe, hit that notifications bell, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.